All right, in this section, we're going to take and just cover some quick general concepts of the lock and load tactical system. Each one of the games is going to come with 2d6 of different colors, so you can distinguish them between the two different sides. If it says to take and roll 1d6, you roll 1, 2d6, you roll both. It's just that simple. Now, each one of the games is also going to come with a selection of 8 by 14 geomorphic maps. It's just going to vary terrain based on whatever module you've selected. A few of the games do come with maps that are bigger than that, however. Now, each one of the hexes on your maps, they're going to represent roughly 50 meters of terrain, and there's a good player aid chart called your terrain effects chart. I've got that on screen for you guys now. And this has a bunch of images representing all the different types of terrain that you're going to find on your maps. List down what the different types of terrain are called, whether they're blocking, degrading, how many movement points it takes to move your units through there, depending on what type they may be. Target modifier, which we'll get into when we hit fire combat. Obstacle height, which we'll get into when we hit line of sight. And any notes pertaining to that terrain. There's a selection of other player aids that do come with the game, affecting sequence of play, rules, summaries, things of that nature. We'll touch on those more specifically as we hit those videos as we go through our series here. Now, do keep in mind there is a stacking limit for each one of the hexes, and you can only have a certain number of units in a hex at any one time. Now, a good way that I go about remembering this is 3-2-2. You can have 3 squads, 2 single-man counters, and 2 vehicles in a hex at any one point. Now, weapon teams are considered the equivalent of a squad, so you can switch them out accordingly as long as you don't exceed 3, and that's the max that you can have in a single hex. Any other units will have to go around. They can't violate that stacking limit. Now, there are event markers in the game. These event markers will be referenced in your scenarios. When you select your scenario, it'll have a paragraph associated with it that generally you're not going to read until you actually activate whatever the event marker is. It'll tell you whether or not you're going to use a line of sight or an occupation marker and where you're going to place it. Occupation simply means that the unit actually has to physically enter the hex to activate whatever the event is. And line of sight simply means that they have to be able to see the designated hex from wherever they're located to activate the event. Again, that's going to vary scenario by scenario.